that. So to start, we've got connect command, which is basically the CONNAC as well, which is the communication in order to establish the connection. This happens on top of and after the TCP three-way handshake to establish connection, which takes us to the sub-ACK and the subscription request, which would take them to ID1, ID2, and ID3, which are 3 different topics that the thermometer needs to be subscribed to in order to function how it's intended. Those topics are the home temperature, home heater, and home temperature /set. So if we take a look at home temperature, we will see that it communicates what the current temperature is from the temperature sensor. So that gets sent to the MQTT broker. The heater will then define whether the heater is turned on or off. So at the beginning, it was 6F6E, and we can see that that turns it on. Later on, it would then, once it reaches that temperature, in the same communication that I've already established, it would then turn it off via 6F666, which we can also see here. So every once in a while, we will also get a ping request and ping response, which is basically just confirming that that connection is still in place. So the ID3, the third one that we have, is home temperature.set. So if we change the temperature on the thermometer to 20 degrees, which is 2 degrees lower than what the thermostat was showing, that will then show us, and it will show us the publishing message that communicates that has been set to 20. The publishing is basically just the communication happening between the sensor, the broker, and the heat controller. Okay, so for task 2, we're basically dealing with some script kiddies that have hijacked the light system at UWE. So to solve this problem, we will need to use Mosquito, which is the professional grade MQTT broker. We'll need Mosquito Sub and Mosquito Pub. Mosquito Sub will be for subscribing to the topics and then publishing the things that we want to happen. So here we can see Mosquito Sub. We've got -H, which is setting the host, which in this case is localhost, and -T, which is setting the topic. So we are going to use the hashtag feature, which will subscribe us to all topics, and the -V verbose is so that we see the full line. We don't want to just see the payload of on or manual. We want to see what is on and what is manual. So if we kick off with that, we're then going to use a different terminal in order to publish the changes that we want. Sorry, one of them seems to have gone missing. There we go, so that we can see that there. So we're going to start off with mode. So initially, when I was figuring out the hierarchy, I thought the hierarchy was defined by the topic number, e.g. ID 1 to 5. I then realized that the hierarchy specifically means the order that you have to do things in order for them to take the most effect, effectively. Nothing is going to work until we set mode to manual because it's all automatic. So if we go ahead and set mode to manual, we can see that that's worked. So we're then going to change the schedule and the time. The reason we're going to do the schedule rather than control is that if we were to set control the lights to on, but the schedule is still off, we wouldn't visually see that happen. So we go for schedule, which would be the current time that we then also set. And now that would mean that when we change the control to on, the lights would actually turn on. Whereas without the schedule, if it's the daytime, they wouldn't turn on. So now some red lights have turned on. So again, that is why that hierarchy would be above the color, because if we did the color before turning the lights on, we wouldn't know that the color had been successfully changed. Sorry, forgive me. I've done this to save a little bit of time because it takes so much time to type them all out. And then I will explain them in a second. So that would then change the color to white, which gives us a successful finalization. So the MQTT system in this lab was completely open. So I've identified 2 security threats, which are information disclosure and unauthorized access control. So for information disclosure, the MQTT traffic was basically sent in plain text. So the topics and the payloads were completely visible in Wireshark, which means that an attacker could sniff that data and use it for malicious purposes, which causes a clear confidentiality risk, and it could give away key information like when a building is occupied or the operating hours of that business. So the solution is to use TLS encryption, as that would show encrypted data and not plain text, disguising the topics and the payloads. So the second is unauthorized access control. So without any authentication or access control, an attacker can connect to a broker and publish fake commands to any topic, and use this to publish the messages and control internet of things, devices, potentially holding them to ransom. So for authentication, by verifying that a device has a reason to connect, we can potentially stop them from connecting in the first place. But a secondary layer of protection is if they do connect, how do we limit their access? We do that by ACLs and authorizing, so restricting devices from accessing topics that are not specific to the topic that's connected.